I told myself that she's fighting back, but I'm also a fighter, so I have to try. I have to try and I have to give her a hard time.
Ladies and gentlemen, tennis fans around the world, what we witnessed on the grass courts of Berlin today was not just another victory. It was not just another upset. It was not simply another impressive performance from one of the fastest rising stars in women's tennis. This felt different. This felt like the kind of match people will look back on months from now and point to as a defining moment in the evolution of Eala. Because when she stepped onto the court at Steffi Graf Stadium, she wasn't facing an ordinary opponent. Standing across the net was a player who had arrived in Berlin carrying momentum, confidence, and a championship trophy. Standing across from her was Donna Vekic, the reigning Queen's Club champion. Just days earlier, Vekic had lifted the title after an impressive run that included a victory over Emma Raducanu in the final. She had won 5 consecutive matches. She had dropped only a single set during that entire stretch. She was playing some of the best grass-court tennis of her season, perhaps even the best tennis she had played all year. Everything pointed in her direction. She was the proven veteran. She was the higher-ranked player. She was the recent champion. She was the player many expected to continue her winning streak. And then there was Eala. The young Filipina star entered the match carrying a very different kind of pressure. Expectations around her career have been growing rapidly over the last several months. Every tournament seems to bring another breakthrough. Every week seems to add another chapter to her story. Yet despite all the excitement surrounding her rise, questions still remained. Could she consistently beat elite-level players? Could she perform on grass against established champions? Could she handle the pressure when the biggest moments arrived? By the time this match ended, she had answered every single one of those questions, and she answered them emphatically. Before we get into the details of how the match unfolded, it's important to understand the history between these two players. This wasn't their first meeting. Earlier in the season, they faced each other at the ASB Classic. On that occasion, Eala battled back from a set down to earn a hard-fought 3-set victory. It was the type of win that showcased her resilience and competitive spirit, but there is a huge difference between winning once and winning again. In professional tennis, players adjust. They study film. They analyze weaknesses. They learn from previous defeats. Many expected Vekic to arrive with solutions. Many expected her to make the necessary adjustments. Instead, what happened was something even more impressive for Eala. She proved the first victory wasn't a fluke. She proved she had Vekic's number once again, and she did it in straight sets. The opening moments of the match suggested that Vekic might be ready for revenge. She came out aggressively. From the very beginning, she looked determined to establish control. Her shots were penetrating, her movement was sharp, her confidence was obvious. It didn't take long for her to earn an early break of serve. Just like that, she jumped ahead 2-0. For many young players, that kind of start against an experienced champion can be overwhelming. The match had barely begun, and already the pressure was mounting. The crowd could sense the danger. The momentum belonged entirely to Vekic, and for a brief moment, you could almost imagine the script writing itself. The champion would impose her will. The underdog would struggle to keep up. The match would slowly drift away. But Eala had no interest in following that script. Instead of panicking, she responded. Immediately, she broke back. Then she broke again. Within the blink of an eye, the entire complexion of the match changed. The scoreboard flipped from 0-2 to 3-2. The confidence that had belonged to Vekic suddenly shifted to the opposite side of the net. Momentum in tennis is a fascinating thing. It cannot be touched. It cannot be measured. Yet everyone watching can feel it. And at that moment, the energy inside the stadium belonged to Eala. What made the turnaround so impressive wasn't simply the fact that she recovered from an early deficit. It was the manner in which she did it. She wasn't surviving. She wasn't hanging on. She was dictating. She was forcing the champion to react. She was taking control of rallies and imposing her game plan. That is a significant difference. Young players often find ways to stay competitive against top opponents. Future stars find ways to take command. And throughout large portions of this match, Eala looked like the player in charge. One of the most important moments of the opening set came during the 6th game. Vekic understood she needed to stop the momentum before it got out of control. She pushed aggressively and created multiple breakpoint opportunities. This was a critical test. A break that could have completely changed the direction of the set. The pressure was enormous, yet every time Vekic threatened, Eala responded. She saved break points. She trusted her game. She stayed composed, and eventually she held serve. Those moments rarely make highlight reels, they rarely become the clips that go viral on social media, but they win matches. Champions understand that greatness is often built during the points nobody remembers, and in that sixth game, Eala demonstrated the mental toughness that separates good players from great ones. Still, Vekic was not finished. Champions don't disappear quietly. The Queen's Club winner fought her way back into the set and eventually leveled things at 4-4. Then she held serve to move ahead 5-4. Suddenly, the pressure shifted again. Now Vekic was serving for the opening set. Now the momentum seemed to be returning to her side. Now the experienced veteran was one game away from grabbing control of the entire match. These are the moments that define careers. These are the moments when nerves become a factor. These are the moments when young players often learn painful lessons. But Eala wasn't interested in learning a painful lesson. She was interested in making a statement, and that's exactly what she did. With Vekic serving for the set, Eala elevated her level. She attacked. She competed fearlessly. She refused to give away a single point, and eventually she earned the break. Just like that, the entire stadium felt the momentum swing once again. The champion had been one game away from taking the set. Now she was suddenly fighting just to stay level. That break may have been the single biggest turning point of the entire match, because from that moment forward, Eala looked like a player who fully believed victory belonged to her. And when a talented player reaches that level of belief, they become incredibly dangerous. The difference between good players and elite competitors often comes down to what happens when the pressure reaches its highest point. Anyone can play freely when they're ahead. Anyone can swing confidently when everything is going their way. But what happens when the match is balanced on a knife's edge? What happens when 1 or 2 points can completely change the outcome? That's where true competitors reveal themselves. And throughout this match, Eala kept revealing more and more of the competitor she is becoming. After breaking Vekic, while the Queen's Club champion was serving for the first set, Eala suddenly had a chance to complete an incredible turnaround. Just minutes earlier, she had been trailing. Just minutes earlier, the momentum appeared to belong entirely to her opponent. Now she was serving to claim the opening set. The challenge in moments like these is mental more than physical. The temptation is to think about the finish line. The temptation is to imagine what it would mean to take the lead. The temptation is to look ahead. The best players never do. They focus on the next point, the next shot, the next opportunity, and that's exactly what Eala did. She played with maturity far beyond her years. No panic, no hesitation, no signs of nerves. She held serve and secured the first set 7-5. The reaction on her face said everything. There was satisfaction. There was confidence, but there was no celebration, because she understood the job wasn't finished, not even close. Champions know that winning the first set means nothing if you fail to close the match, and Vekic was far too experienced to simply go away. The second set would become the ultimate test. If Vekic responded strongly, the match could easily be pushed into a deciding third set. If Eala maintained her level, she could produce one of the most impressive victories of her season. From the very first game of the second set, it became clear which direction things were heading. Eala came out aggressive, focused, locked in. She immediately broke serve, no hesitation, no letting her opponent recover, no giving Vekic time to regroup emotionally after losing the opening set. She struck immediately. That early break sent a powerful message. The first set hadn't drained her, it had energized her. Moments later, she held serve to move ahead 2-0, and suddenly the pressure was firmly back on Vekic. Every game from that point forward felt important, every point felt significant, and yet Eala continued to play with remarkable calmness. One of the most impressive aspects of her performance was her shot selection. Grass courts reward aggressive tennis, but they also punish poor decisions. Players who rush points often make costly errors. Players who become too defensive often lose control of rallies. Finding the right balance is extremely difficult, yet Eala seemed to have found it. She attacked when opportunities appeared. She defended when necessary. She changed direction intelligently. She moved exceptionally well, and perhaps most importantly, she never appeared rushed. Everything looked under control. Everything looked intentional. Against a player with Vekic's experience, that's incredibly impressive. As the set progressed, another element of Eala's game became impossible to ignore: her serve. For years, analysts have talked about how important serving is on grass courts. The players who succeed on this surface often earn free points. They force opponents into difficult returns. They control rallies from the very first shot. Throughout this match, Eala's serve was doing exactly that. Ace after ace began appearing on the scoreboard. Some came at important moments. Some came when she needed momentum. Some came when Vekic appeared ready to challenge. Each one carried significance. By the end of the afternoon, Eala had produced 8 aces. Think about that for a moment. 8 aces against a recent grass court champion. 8 aces against a player who had been playing some of the best tennis of her season. Those weren't lucky serves. Those were signs of confidence, signs of growth, signs that her game continues to evolve. And then came one of the strangest moments of the match. Leading 4-3 in the second set, Eala was in position to move within touching distance of victory. The atmosphere inside the stadium was building. Every point felt heavier. Every game felt more important. Then suddenly everything stopped. A spectator in the crowd required medical assistance. Play was suspended. The players were forced to wait. The crowd fell silent. The rhythm of the match disappeared. Anyone who has played competitive sports understands how disruptive interruptions can be. Athletes spend enormous amounts of energy-building focus. They create routines. They settle into rhythms. They lock themselves into a specific mental state. When competition suddenly stops, all of that can disappear. Many matches have changed because of interruptions. Many players have struggled to regain their concentration. The question was obvious. How would Eala respond? The answer arrived almost immediately. Like a seasoned veteran, when play resumed, she looked exactly the same as she had before the stoppage. Focused, composed, ready, she stepped back onto the court and finished the game. No visible frustration, no loss of rhythm, no emotional drop. It was a subtle moment, but an important one, because it highlighted another area of growth in her game: mental discipline, the ability to reset, the ability to adapt, the ability to remain focused regardless of circumstances. Those qualities often separate champions from contenders. As the match moved toward its conclusion, tension filled the stadium. Everyone understood what was at stake. Eala was closing in on one of the biggest victories of her season. Vekic was running out of opportunities. The margin for error was disappearing. Eventually, Eala moved ahead 5-3, one game away, one final push, one last hurdle. But champions rarely surrender easily. Vekic held serve to make it 5-4. Now the pressure returned. Now Eala would have to serve for the match. Every tennis fan has seen situations like this before. A player dominates for most of the afternoon. Everything seems under control. Then suddenly the finish line appears, and reaching it becomes incredibly difficult. The arm feels heavier. The nerves become stronger. The points become longer. Closing matches is a skill that takes years to develop. A skill that even elite professionals occasionally struggle with. As Eala walked to the baseline, everyone watching knew the next few minutes would reveal a great deal about her. Was she ready for the moment? Could she handle the pressure? Could she finish what she had started? At first, things did not go according to plan. Vekic attacked aggressively. The veteran sensed an opportunity. Point by point, she pushed harder. Suddenly, the scoreboard showed something almost nobody expected: 0-40. Triple break point, 3 chances for Vekic to break serve, 3 chances to force a deciding third set, 3 chances to completely change the story of the match. You could feel the tension, you could feel the pressure, you could feel the possibility of momentum shifting one final time. For many players, this is where doubt creeps in. This is where fear appears. This is where opportunities disappear. But Eala refused to blink. The first break point came, she saved it. The second followed. She saved that too, then came the third, the biggest point of the match. The kind of point players remember for years. And once again she found an answer: 3 break points, 3 saves, no surrender, no panic, no fear, just belief. And after surviving the storm, she did something that made the victory even more memorable. She didn't simply hold serve. She didn't simply wait for an error. She took complete control. With the match hanging in the balance, she stepped to the line and fired an ace. Then another, back-to-back aces, back-to-back statements, back-to-back reminders that she intended to decide the match on her terms. The crowd erupted. The scoreboard was final, and one of the biggest wins of her grass court season was complete. The final score read 7-5, 6-4, but those numbers barely captured what had just happened. This wasn't just a straight sets victory. This was a demonstration of composure, a demonstration of resilience, a demonstration of belief. Most importantly, it was a demonstration that Eala belongs on this stage. Not in the future, not someday, right now.